Today I'm going to be cutting out 6 small pumpkins that will serve as table legs for a crazy box I'm carving out later on in the week. A few weeks ago I created a quick change jig for my Onefinity Revolution rotary and tested it out by running a rounding toolpath and a small piece of Osage Orange. That's the piece of material that I'm going to be using today. For today I want to focus on what it takes to cut out an STL file on the rotary using the VCarve Pro software. I'm not going to cut or edit any part of this tutorial, so that way you can see what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. There are several very important steps in this process that cannot be missed. Let's get right into it. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know I could do that. All right, so starting out in VCarve Pro, we are going to create a new model here. Make sure you have rotary selected. The length of my piece of stock is 11 inches, and the diameter is going to be 1.94. Make sure that we are setting our Z0 position to cylinder surface, and the XY datum is the lower left. We're going to be using the X-axis because my rotary runs from left to right. If it ran from up and down, then I would choose the Y-axis, but I'm on the X-axis. So for modeling resolution, I usually use very high, so that way I can get a very high level of detail with my software here. Click on OK. Now I like to turn on a couple of these things. 3D view, you'll see where your XY datum start position is. I like to turn on the view of the cylinder. And then we're going to be working in both 2D view and 3D view today. So the first thing we need to do is import our model. I'm going to go ahead and show you where this came from. Thingiverse has a ton of free STLs that you can go and pick up. So just go out onto thingiverse.com, type in pumpkin, and then you're going to get a bunch of things that pop up. This is the one that I found today, so we'll be using this. Once you download it, you'll find the STL wherever you saved it. So we'll go ahead and import that. Go up to File, Import, Import 3D Model. Pumpkin STL, that's where I got mine from. Go ahead and open that up. You're going to get a 3D box that looks like this. A couple of things you need to do. First, this comes in extremely large, so you definitely want to make sure that you resize this. VCarve Pro makes that pretty easy by scaling model to fit material. So just click on that button over there on the left. You'll see it goes and fits right into our cylinder stock right off the bat. Now I am going to make this just a little bit smaller to make sure that I get all of the detail within that. And when I do the roughing toolpath, it'll make sure to capture all of the detail that I'm looking for there. So model diameter, I'm going to make it 1.75. Oops. 1.75, which is about 0.15 smaller than the actual cylinder itself. And so my model length is going to automatically adjust because I have lock ratio checked here. It's going to be 1.43. So now I have a single pumpkin in here, but I'm going to need 6. So what I have to do, go ahead and click on OK. It's going to import that pumpkin in there. All right, and now what I need to do is replicate this. So I'm going to go on 2D view here, and this is what it looks like stretched out on a plane. I'm going to go ahead and click on that graphic. And what I'm going to do is we are going to use the array copy tool over here. So go ahead and click on that. I've already been messing around with this, so some of my settings are still in here. Rows, we're going to leave that at 1. Columns is going to be 6. Go ahead and click copy. And now you see I have 6 of these pumpkins showing up. Go ahead and close that out. Click on the main graphic itself, and then we're going to center this by using the Align Selected Objects tool. And then you're going to click on Align to Material, Center. All right, so now I have 6 pumpkins here. Go ahead and close this out. We'll go back into 3D view and see what that looks like. And that looks pretty good. So as you can see, this has been pretty easy so far. The next thing we need to do is add a stem in the center of the model. So that way, when we're cutting the material out, we don't allow the cylinder to fall out of the quick change jig that I have. So basically, if you don't do this step, your models are all going to fall out. You're not going to complete the carve successfully. So in order to do that, we are going to go into the components tab, which is all the way on the left over here. Now this is probably the most important step when it comes to the stem. You need to select all of these layers, or components. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 6 pumpkins there, and then make sure you're selecting 0 plane 2. Right click on all of those. Combine mode needs to be merge. Otherwise your stem is going to show up and it's going to warp your model and it's going to look all crazy. So once that's done, click out of all of them and then select 0 plane only. Now go into properties, and then you're going to select base height, and that's going to be the amount of stem that we want. So for this, let's just see what a 1/4 inch looks like. And for these pumpkins, these are going to be furniture legs, so I really don't care about the stem on top there. Some of this might get cut out anyway. I think a 1/4 inch is going to be perfect here. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to create a roughing toolpath that's going to take all the big chunks out first. It's going to leave the stem, and then I'm going to use a 1/16 inch skinny Jenny to carve the rest of the fine details into these pumpkins. And then after that, I'll probably use a handsaw to cut each of them out, get them sanded up, and then they'll be good to go. So the next thing we need to do here, and I'm pretty much done with this, honestly. I'm not really worried about the stems. I'm going to cut them off. So that looks pretty good to me. So we're going to go ahead and make some toolpaths out of this. Go ahead and close your properties tab, go back into design, and then open up your toolpaths tab. And now there's 2 toolpaths over here that you need to use. You have a 3D roughing toolpath, and then you have a 3D finishing toolpath. We'll create the roughing toolpath first. I already have preset my 1/4 inch Jenny compression bit, which is one of my favorites to use for roughing passes. We are going to use the model boundaries. The material boundaries. So for the boundary offset, I'm going to reset this to 0.15, and that's just going to make sure that I get over my limits to make sure the full graphic is carved into the wood. I'm going to go ahead and click on calculate. And so here's what it's projecting our roughing toolpath is going to look like, which looks pretty good right off the bat. We have a pane over here where we can preview these selected toolpaths. So for the roughing, this is what it might look like. And so you can see it's carving the stems out there, which eventually that's going to be cut off. But this actually looks pretty good for a roughing pass. So we'll go ahead and close that. You want to go back in here and reset your preview to make sure that we get our view like we want it right there. And then we're going to come out here and create a 3D finishing toolpath. I have my skinny Jenny here set up, and this is probably what's going to take the most time to cut. So I want to make sure to have the speeds and feeds up here as much as I possibly can. I like to run 175 with the plunge rate of 100. I find that it still puts a lot of good detail in there without compromising too much of my time. So go ahead and click on OK there. And then the machine limit boundary is going to be the material boundary to make sure that we're carving everything. And then go ahead and click on calculate. And here's our finishing projection. So now what we can do is we can go out. 3D roughing right here. We'll go ahead and simulate this first. Click on play. Boom, roughing pass. And then for the finishing pass, click on play. Boom. This is what we're going to come out with. So here I'm going to have 6 pumpkins, cut them out with the handsaw right at the bases of all of them. Make sure it's on a flat plane so they can be used as legs. And then we'll attach those to the box in the next video. The toolpaths that I created need to be saved with the post processor for the Onefinity Rotary Revolution. You're going to go in here to post processor, click on add post processor, click on the plus sign next to the associated post processors, then you're going to scroll down until you'll see Onefinity Wrap Y2A inch. This is the one for the Buildbotics controller. If you don't see this, then click on this cloud with the down arrow right here to download the latest post-processor database. VCarve Pro automatically will update this for you, and it should pop right up. So we're going to select that, and then we're going to click on OK. Now we have Onefinity Wrap Y2A inch in here. And so we're going to save each of our toolpaths in the X50 Pro Journeyman plus Wrap Y2A format, and this will get our rotary going correctly. And we'll start by uploading 3D roughing 1. Some of these take a long time depending on how much code you have going up to the machine. My setup is set up. I have a hotspot downstairs in the basement where I'm doing most of my carving, and then that actually routes the file through pretty quickly. My internet is pretty fast, so depending on what you got, the speed of this will be defined by that. So it's predicting our roughing pass is going to take 44 minutes. That's pretty good. I like where we're going with that. We'll go ahead and upload the first finishing pass. This could take a little bit longer. Could take a lot bit longer. So in other news this week, we had the Carveco AI come out. I thought that was a pretty cool program. I think it does a great job of turning reliefs and whatever images you drop in there into a really nice 3D relief. What I'm disappointed about with the whole thing is the subscription system that I have to buy. Even though I'm a perpetual license holder and a maintenance subscription holder, I still need to get on a whole nother subscription plan to get that. So, I was kind of disappointed in that, but the tool really does a good job, in my opinion. So that's the first finishing pass, and this is going to take us about 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is a lot better than what I was expecting, to tell you the truth. So we just need to finish uploading the second finishing pass, which is going to provide those small details that it didn't get the first run. Yeah, but I could see myself using the Carveco text to relief, quite a lot actually. Sometimes I just want something to do, so I'll just throw in a text in there, I don't know, crazy dinosaur on fire or something like that. We'll get that carved up. Sometimes you just need things to do on a Saturday, All right, so this is the second finishing pass, finishing up now, 95%. All right, great. And so this one is going to take 1 hour and 53 minutes, which is a lot more than I thought it was going to be. And looking at the code down here, it looks like there's a lot more detail than I initially thought. So really what we're looking at for this carve is we're looking at a 44-minute roughing pass time, and then we're looking at roughly 4 hours of fine carving time. So okay, I'll commit to that. That sounds fine. So we'll run that. All right, so the next video, you'll see this carving come into play. What's going to happen right now is I'm going to go down, take the toolpaths that we just uploaded, and get them running on the Onefinity. I hope to see you here on the channel for the next video, where I will show you the production results from this project.